Wow, a little foreshadowing there. Breaking news to start NFL Live. Lamar's request on Tuesday for his GM to sign Jair Alexander has officially come to fruition. The Ravens put pen to paper with the free agent cornerback and the first guy to meet Alexander as he entered the building. Of course, Lamar Jackson, his former teammate. Adam, what more can you tell us about how this deal came together?
Well, Laura, despite the fact that Lamar Jackson made a personal plea to his general manager, Eric DeCosta, to go sign Jair Alexander yesterday, the truth of the matter is they had been talking throughout the offseason, and since Green Bay released Jair Alexander, Baltimore always was in square contention to sign him. And even though the Ravens couldn't offer as much money as other teams, such as the Carolina Panthers, they could offer Jair the chance to be reunited with his college teammate, Lamar Jackson. And in the end, that made the difference, along with the one-year deal that allows him to step into a defense that's loaded, a secondary that's loaded. He can thrive there if he stays healthy, and then he would become a free agent after the season, as we get alerts here.
You got an ESPN alert. Was that your own alert
Probably.
right there that came through? It very well could have been.
Yes, NFL Live is now on the air. Alert.
We need those alerts out there. All right, the Ravens secondary struggled last season. On passes 15-plus yards downfield, they allowed the fourth highest QBR and ranked bottom 10 in completion percentage and passing touchdowns allowed. Last season, Jair Alexander defended a pass on 23% of his targets as nearest defender. That was the seventh highest rate among players who were targeted at least 30 times. Now, what a way to start the show. We just heard from Shefty. He's here. Field Yates is in the house. And we got Louis Riddick with us for the hour as well. Field, I'll start with you. Was cornerback a position of need in Baltimore? You heard Shefty referencing he's joining a team that's pretty stacked across the board.
Yeah, not a frontline need in terms of starting a game tomorrow, needing him on the field for the very first snap, Laura. But this is a team that last year struggled to defend the pass, as you noted. And Jair Alexander, the best part of this deal, in my opinion, is the fact that it is a one-year deal. This is a motivated player who, over the past 4 seasons, has been just as likely to be on the field as he is off the field. So Jair Alexander has a chance to play for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, does not need to be a starter, because the Ravens feel really good about their starting trio of Nate Wiggins, their first-round pick last year, of course, Marlon Humphrey, and also Chidobe Awuzie, who they signed this offseason after he was released by the Titans. But the kind of move that the Baltimore Ravens can make in June, they can sort of be like a finishing ingredient for a team that feels like it has the recipe to be a Super Bowl champion this year, Louis.
Yeah, it's a really good fit. And where they've struggled in particular in 2024 was on the perimeter in the secondary. This is where they were really suspect. This is where teams attacked them. And the fact is, Jair primarily is an outside lane player. Now what you can do with Marlon Humphrey is put him in the slot at the star, at the nickel position, where he's most comfortable, where he's most deadly. You can keep Kyle Hamilton in the middle of the field with Malachi Starks. And now Jair and Nate and Chidobe and anyone else who wants to go ahead and buy for playtime can buy for playtime on the outside. Now with Jair, listen, this is a guy from a scheme fit perspective is very, very comfortable playing all the different coverage disciplines, cover 2, cover 4, all the split safety stuff, because he did that in Green Bay. He did that at a high level with lots of instinct, lots of ball vision, real quick closing quickness, real good ball skills. These are all the things that Zach Orr wants in their version of the split safety defenses that they run there in Baltimore. So look, there's a reason why Lamar said go out and get him. There's a reason why they were already talking to him anyway. It just made sense. Now Jair just needs to stay on the field. He's only played 14 games over the past 2 years. He's had shoulder and knee issues. He's got to stay on the field. He stays on the field, he'll get everything he wants. Baltimore will get everything they want.
Yeah, so Laura, when we look at this in the aggregate of the first and second rounds of the NFL draft, the Ravens defense now has a new look to it, right? Malachi Starks, a player that the Ravens were incredibly enamored by during the pre-draft process. They were thrilled to land him where they did towards the end of the first round. And then the second round, they get Mike Green, who led the FBS in sacks last season, who was a ready-made pass rusher. And the Ravens ranked 29th in pass rush win rate last season. This is a team that just could not get home in the biggest moments. You go back to their 3 losses last season against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes under center. This team has just 5 sacks. Jalen Hurts as well, 5 sacks in those 3 games against some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
You just love to see the Ravens, a team that obviously they've been vying for the Super Bowl. We felt like they were close these last few years, just adding pieces at key spots. It can't hurt, right? New on NFL Live, let's go to Chiefs mini camp. We're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes talking about Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I expect Travis to be Travis, man. And obviously the play on the field is going to be high. He's going to go out there with the mentality that we're trying to win the Super Bowl this year because falling short this last year. But then I think more than anything, it's the leadership that he brings to the building every single day and how he leads by example and how he leads vocally. It's a big impact on our football team. And so I expect him to play at a high level and then be an even better leader.
Earlier on in my career, I would set those goals for myself, and I just think it's just more of a genuine feel and the right mentality. Just go out there and try and make every play for my team. Last year, I think I failed, especially in that last game, and being a leader and being the one that could step up and make plays. So just setting the bar even higher for myself this year than I have in the past.
As you'd expect, Travis owning it. He hasn't looked the same over the last 2 seasons, right? In that span, he's averaged under 60 receiving yards per game, has a total of 8 touchdowns. His yards per target and yards after catch have also dipped. In the previous 3 seasons, he averaged 80.8 receiving yards per game, good for 8th in the NFL, had 32 receiving touchdowns, which was the 3rd most. Adam, what are you hearing about Kelce as he enters year 13?
Well, people say he's lost weight, and obviously the whole team, including Travis Kelce, has a point to prove. They did not like the way last season ended. It did not sit well with them during the offseason, and this team has gone out and made a number of changes. I think Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, they all take this personally, and it's reflected in the work that they put in during the offseason, which is a lot. Now the team has gone out, it's made a number of changes, it's brought back Hollywood Brown, it gets back Rashee Rice, and of course they used their first-round draft pick on Josh Simmons to play left tackle, protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side, and that should be a boost for this entire offense this season.
Yeah, I think some people were wondering whether Travis Kelce can rediscover a more explosive form in the middle of the field. I don't know that I expect that at his age, as unfortunately this set can attest to. You don't tend to feel a whole lot better getting into your 30s.
We're so old.
That being said, Laura, I do think that there are ways in which the Chiefs, with their wide receivers, can help give Travis Kelce a whole lot more room to operate with. Over the past 3 seasons, the Chiefs have become a decidedly less explosive offense. Check the numbers here. Last year, they were second to last in explosive plays, defined by us as plays that travel 20-plus yards, either on the ground or through the air. Just 2 years ago or 3 seasons ago in 2022, they were 4th. When Travis Kelce has these wide receivers darting down the field, taking safeties and corners along with him, he can absolutely feast in the middle of the field. That has been congested over the past couple of seasons, especially last year, which made Travis Kelce a much less significant threat than he was in all those years in which he was basically a guarantee to go for 1,200 yards and 10 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, look, I think it's hard overall. When you had the amount of success that Kansas City has had, it's hard to stay sharp as far as your preparation, your attention to detail. You know, you really being on that razor's edge every single week. Well, it's funny how you get a little kick in the rear end when a team absolutely dismantles you on the biggest stage. It's funny how it'll make you refocus and go, okay, look, we're letting some of the little things slip here. Now you have a little bit more of a fire burning underneath you. Then that goes from all the way from the top down. Look, Brett Veach was right in the lab immediately after the Super Bowl going, I just have to provide Patrick with better protection. I have to have better players on this offensive line so my quarterback is not running for his life. And he went out and did that. Look, they have fortified the left side of this offensive line. They've added pieces on the perimeter. They've added pieces defensively, especially up front, where they will be able to rush the passer with even more ferocity with some of the people that they have added on that side of the ball. And so, look, I think overall, you're going to see the very best version of what everyone has to offer as far as their skill set on the field, their preparation off the field. And look, with Travis Kelce, look, was he ever a guy who you looked at and you went, man, this guy is just an explosive, rear end kicking, route runner? No. But what I think you will see is for 17 weeks, you're going to see a dude locked in because he doesn't want people talking about him like they talked about him at the end of last year. I can promise you that.
Yeah, we'll see how soon, by the way, we see Josh Simmons on the field, their first-round pick, number 32 overall, But in the second and third rounds, I thought they addressed that pass rush on the defensive side of the ball with 2 instant impact rushers. And Omar Norman-Lott, second-round pick out of Tennessee, had 5 sacks last season. And then Ashton Gelati from Louisville, who 2 years ago, 9th in the FBS in sacks. This past season, that number dipped. Let me tell you what, that guy was a menace to block. Even if the sack production did not show it last year at Louisville, this team is going to attack you on both sides of the ball. The draft will help this year.
Definitely. I mean, as far as a just complete team draft, the Chiefs did a great job, as they are wont to do. All right, to a developing story now out of Las Vegas. Quote, I wish I could turn back the hands of time. Just some of the words of former Raiders receiver Henry Ruggs, who on Tuesday spoke at a Hope for Prisoners event in Las Vegas. In November of 2021, Ruggs was driving up to 156 miles per hour when he slammed into a vehicle, killing 23-year-old Tina Tintor and her dog. Asked what he would say to the Tintor family, Ruggs apologized, adding, I would love for them to meet the real Henry Ruggs and not the one that was escaping from something. The former first-round pick pleaded guilty in 2023 to felony DUI and vehicular manslaughter and is serving a 3 to 10 years in prison. We're just getting started on NFL Live. New on NFL Live, glad you're back with us. Some news out of Green Bay, where incoming team president Ed Policy made it clear that he doesn't see long-term deals for head coach Matt LaFleur and GM Brian Gutekunst, saying, quote, none of them are up at the end of this year. We won't be doing anything going into this season. Alrighty then, Shefty, what more can you tell us?
Well, it's interesting because both Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur have 2 years left on their contract. So Ed Policy, the incoming president and CEO, already has ruled out an extension this season, which might put a little bit more pressure on both men this season with the Green Bay Packers. Because if they have a good season, okay, everybody steps to the bargaining table after next year. If they don't, these same questions that came up yesterday to Ed Policy will come up again, and it'll be interesting to see how he answers them that time.
I'm just going to say this one time. I won't say it again. Ed Policy, great name for the role that he's got. It just works out well. I like it. All right, time to read and react to some stories around the league, starting with Micah Parsons, who's still waiting for a new deal in Dallas. Fellow defensive end Myles Garrett weighed in on the situation this week.
You deserve whatever you earn. I mean, the guy's special. Once they got the chance to train with him, and I've seen his work ethic. I've seen how he attacks the weights, running. He's 100% committed to his craft and getting better every day. And someone who produces on the field and has that level of dedication, to the game. You should get every penny he's owed.
Adam, what more can you tell us about the negotiations in Dallas?
They've been ongoing, and the two sides have been talking throughout the offseason. And at some point, most people believe that there will be a deal that makes Micah Parsons the highest paid defensive player in NFL history, beating the deal that Myles Garrett got from the Cleveland Browns earlier this offseason. Parsons is entering the last year of a deal. Dallas wants to get a deal done. Parsons wants to get a deal done. He's already attended the offseason program, the mandatory minicamp, intimated that he would be at training camp. So I think that keeps the clear lines of communication open with the hope that both sides will work out what will be a historic deal.
What's interesting about this is the fact that, at 26 years old, the guy, last year was second in pressure percentage, second in pass rush win rate, top 10 in sack percentage, and he didn't play a full season, right? He missed, 4 games. So, what's wild is, Myles is talking about the fact that he should be compensated for what he's done. But really, contracts are about future performance projection, which makes it, for Micah Parsons, even better, because think of it this way. Think about the kind of stats in the 17-game season with now a guy like Donovan Ezeraku, who they drafted out of Boston College, rushing opposite him, which is just going to open up things for Micah. His stats are going to go through the roof, I believe, in 2025 because of the fact that the defense is going to look better. So not only should he be compensated for what he's done in the past, the team's trying to project, okay, what kind of production are we going to get over the next 2 to 3 seasons? And Micah's probably thinking the same darn thing. In this contract, Adam has said it many times, and it's quite obvious, it's going to reset the bar as far as highest paid defensive player in the history of the National Football League. It may be even higher than what we think if you start looking at it in that context, which is kind of wild to me.
Right. He's 100% deserving of that. And by the way, if you're Jerry Jones, you got to get that done before his numbers are even better, like what Lewis is saying, which we expect him to do it either way. All right, let's go to another big fella who's trying to get paid. That would be Trey Hendrickson. Our Jeremy Fowler reported on this.
On today's Cowboys Report, we're breaking down some breakout candidates for Dallas coming out of minicamp. We'll eventually do stuff like make or break candidates and bounce back options. We'll discuss a lot of different stuff, but these are players who haven't done it before. Maybe they could this season. Let's go to linebacker. I could have put every linebacker on this one of these lists in some capacity. For breakouts, let's do Jack Sanborn. Has flashed when he's had chances to play in the past. He's a good special teamer. He can do the middle linebacker role, the weak side, the strong side role. kind of feels like middle linebacker right now for Dallas. He followed Matt Eberflus to the Cowboys because he thought, I know the defense. I've got a chance to make an impact and potentially cash in next season. Cowboys have to have somebody step up at linebacker. DeMarvion Overshown is going to miss time. Kenneth Murray's going to play a lot. Sanborn has a real chance to make a big impact and show what he hasn't ever fully shown in a potential entire year of starting. I want you to name a player who you think breaks out for the Cowboys this upcoming season. Sound off in the comments right now.